Because at least you're alive. Yeah, fuck. Yeah! Hello, welcome to this video. My name's Dad, aka Lucen. I'm a music producer and songwriter, and today I'm going to be reacting to Florence and the Machine's brand new album. This is Dance Fever. I'm very excited, so let's go. Transition. So yeah, I've been a Florence fan for a long time actually. Like stylistically, it doesn't really align with a lot of my other listening, but I don't know, there's always been something about her that's really fascinated me. From the production to like the lyrics and her voice, and you know, there's kind of so many layers to it that I've really appreciated over the years. I think my favourites are probably Lungs and High as Hope, but then each album has its own kind of flavour and its own, like, and it has amazing songs. Like Ceremonials is incredible. How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful is really different, but there's so many songs on there that I absolutely love as well. So, you know, so I'm really excited to see what she's got up her sleeve for the next one. I've already heard 4 songs, so the ones that she's released with music videos and stuff. If you guys have been following the channel, then you might have seen my reactions to those. I'll still react to them in this video, even though I've obviously already heard them. I've had my record for Dance Fever on pre-order. So most of the time when I do this, the record appears at the door mid-filming, so that'll probably happen again today. Before we get started, if you're new to the channel, then make sure to subscribe for reaction content and everything from the perspective of somebody who loves to write and create music. That is kind of my vibe going into all these reactions. And if you want to check out a bit more from me, a bit more about my life and follow me, you can do so on Instagram. I've actually been posting a little bit more recently, crazy. So if you want to kind of like keep up with me and my life, then that's probably the best place to do that. And all the links to all my music and stuff, if you're intrigued, is in the description as well. Let's get going. This is the brand new album. Let's go. Yay. Song number 1. This is King. We've heard it before, but let's relive the experience.
We argue in the kitchen about whether
My actual kind of opinion on the lyrics of this song has definitely changed actually. I think in the context of knowing it's kind of written in lockdown, this song hits slightly differently. It's kind of like about her using her pain to create art. Like I need the sorrow, I need the bloody sword. To exist, I need to transform my sorrow into art. And I guess the king represents the artist in her, for me.
something new begins to take, what strange claws are these would be coming from.
Who never knew my killer would be coming from within. This song does such a good job of like slowly building the tension. I am no bride, I am king. The drums threaten, don't they? It's like you're waiting for the kind of big drop to happen, and then it goes to this root and settles, and then comes back. It's like you're waiting the whole song for it, and you're just like, yes, 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 yes. It feels quite jubilant at the end, doesn't it? Like she's been kind of holding in this tension and holding in her voice, you know, right up until that moment, and then it just lets it out in almost like just an open vow, like, oh. It's really cathartic, that release, isn't it? And maybe it does represent the release of her art, you know.
Never let me go.
Every single time I hear that line, never let me go, I'm just like, never let me go. I like how all the guitar it kind of becomes a little bit of like an unintelligible instrument. It's quite interesting. It's such a well-crafted song that you know, like the dynamics of it, the building intention, the release, that kind of feeling of jubilance at the end. But it's not like a kind of happy jubilance, really, is it? It's like the anxiety and the frustration has built up to a point where you can't do anything but just go, ugh, you know. And yeah, and I think like King represents for Florence her, like, you know, maybe the early days of lockdown and the building of that frustration, her not really knowing what to do with herself, her struggling maybe to create art, and her realizations about how she has to kind of almost like have a life, have the ups and downs of life, have the sorrows, have the heartbreak in order to create music and turn it into the crown and turn it into the sword, you know, that it represents her art. And how without that, it's like the killer is coming from within, like it's the internal angst, frustration, and maybe inability to create that's getting to her. My views on this song have changed to that kind of thing, partly because of Free and because of My Love and like what those songs represent as well, and the connection to like King's connections to those songs. I'd be interested to hear your interpretation, of course. As with all of my reactions, I read as many of the comments as I can, and I really love to get into the kind of like the discussion of like what the songs really mean to different people and what they represent and what they think the story is and everything. So yeah, make sure to leave a comment. Let's go on to the next one. Speaking of, this is Free, and I'm ready to go all to this song. Let's go. Chair shaking. Talking of building tension.
I wonder if I should be medicated, sedated, controlled.
But I love her voice. My hair is all in my face.
Puts me down, spits me out, picks me up, puts me down.
I love the strings in this. Something folky about this song, actually, isn't there? Oh, I still like relate so much to the being told to be like you're too sensitive, you know. Nope. God, I love this song. I just love how she's managed to encapsulate that feeling of freedom in just the music of it, you know. It's so jubilant. This hair is really annoying me. Okay.
To exist in the face of suffering and death, still keep singing.
Ugh, to exist in the face of suffering and death and somehow still keep singing. It's amazing, isn't it? Ugh, this song just gives me chills. Ugh, I just cannot wait to hear this one live. Oh my god. Ugh. Oh, I love that. There's string going on. I didn't notice that before. Ugh, adore that song. It is just so freeing. Like it's honestly amazing how she manages to encapsulate and exude a feeling. It's almost like she went into it being like, this needs to sound like freedom, and it just does to a complete T. Every single element of that production, from the instrumentation, the way it's built up, the way that the tension's built, the way that she performs it is all freedom, and it's just so perfectly made in that sense, isn't it? And I think it's just like such a kind of like a feeling that I just so deeply relate to, having, you know, been through the last couple of years, as I'm sure a lot of us have, that feeling of freedom in short bursts. It was like dance around in the kitchen to Lady Gaga. For me, it was running as fast as I could, sprinting down the street, just trying to feel something in the midst of being locked down, you know, and not having a purpose. I feel like that's what that song really just represents so clearly, and I'm sure it does for a lot of you out there listening to it as well. It's amazing, yeah. It also represents a kind of larger feeling of freedom that I'm now appreciating. I moved back in with my family for lockdown, and I've been travelling, I've been independent for years and years and years. I mean, I moved back in with them for a couple of months and then lockdown happened, so it was never my plan to stay very long. And I ended up like staying at home for almost 2 years, and it just felt like I'd lost my independence again. So like the last like 7 or 8 months have really represented that freedom in a larger sense for me as well. And this song just brings up all those emotions, which are still so very like at the forefront. And actually, I think if there's a silver lining to take, is that now I appreciate my independence more. I appreciate my freedom so much more, having not had it for a while. And that song just reminds me of that, you know? So beautiful. Okay, let's go on to the next one. This is Choreomania. So this is us maybe getting taken back to medieval times. We're all going to catch some sort of weird dancing disease and we're all going to keep dancing until we die, which is apparently the influence of this album. So anyway, let's go.
Freaking out in the middle of the street.
Spoken word.
Conviction of someone who's never had anything actually really bad happen to them.
She's very self-aware, isn't she?
I don't know how it started. Suddenly I'm dancing.
I love the clapping.
Something's coming, so
Something's coming.
so out of breath.
I love this.
Dance myself to death.
Dance myself to death. You know what I was saying about dynamics, like, and tension building? Like, fuck. Wow.
I'll be your demon daddy, 'cause they speak to me too. Something's coming, so
Oh.
breath. I just and I dance myself.
Oh my god. Oh my god, I just can't. This song encapsulates the line, something's coming, doesn't it?
Just because it has not been resurrected in your Jesus came back.
Ugh. 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 I just love how these songs build. Something's coming, I just kept spinning and I danced myself to death. It's almost like dancing as a coping mechanism. Ugh. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is so wonderful. Oh. Oh my god. That song. Oh. Jesus. Oh, it just kept going, didn't it? Just kept building and building and building and building and building. It's like slowly. Well, I'm obviously the tempo's not slow, but I mean, like, the tension was just going up and 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 up. It just was so satisfying. It never let up, and it just kept going right until the end and just cut it off. Like, ugh. Oh, I loved that. She really is, like, musically in every single song on this album really playing with this idea of dynamics, isn't she? It is dark because there's this sense that she's lost in the dance, that she's going to keep going until she dies, you know, like the medieval dancing plague thing. I love that this concept has inspired her to, like, compare her situation. So the story of that is that these people in this town one day started dancing and it kind of was catching and loads of people joined in and people literally danced themselves to death. Like, they kept dancing until they died and no one really knows why. There's a few theories like a kind of mass hysteria, or like some people think that they all had like disease, or maybe they were all on like drugs or hallucinating or something, but no one really knows. But I think the way in which Florence is relating her situation to it is that it's almost like she's going through a kind of like really frustrating, difficult time that's got a lot of pressure, there's a lot of death, there's a lot of fear, and her kind of reaction is to wander out into the street and just dance, because that feels like that's like the only thing she can do, almost as dancing like therapy, you know. It's like this is part of the human condition, is that we dance, you know, we hear music and we dance, and like to kind of relate her like lack of control to this like medieval thing is a very unique point of reference, but something that really kind of creates a really cool kind of dynamic, dark but quite jubilant sentiment at the same time, you know, that kind of leads on from this feeling of freedom, you know. Very unique, and I just think it's again masterfully crafted. Every single song is really to a T at this point. I love it. Let's go on to the next song. This is Back in Town. Very quiet opening. You almost can't hear it. Is this actually playing correctly? Oh yeah, it is coming. I was like, have I got the setup wrong? It almost sounds like it's underwater.
Never really been alive before.
Wow.
Easier, hungover. Rats run around our feet.
Kind of reminiscing back to her kind of partying days, isn't it?
Always the same. But I stay for the pain.
Wow. She's really looking inward. This is definitely giving me Highest Hope vibes.
And if you get spat on, that's just your big city baptism.
Getting spat on like a baptism, wow.
For the pain.
She's really brilliant at coming up with these like short like lines in songs that have so much weight to them. My example with Florence is always the line, "Never let me go," just how much that in such a short space of time has so much emotion attached to it. And this has the same kind of thing. I pay for the pleasure, but I stay for the pain. Amazing. The song's quite quiet. That was a weird one. A different vibe that's from everything we've heard so far. That one almost kind of seemed like a interval, you know, in a sense. You know, it kind of didn't really have like a strict flow to it. It was, yeah, interesting. I loved the kind of the emotion that it built up throughout the beginning section. This kind of underwater kind of like dulled sense of feeling. That's the kind of vibe that it gave me. Let's have a look at the lyrics. She's kind of reflecting on her past and how actually like all the imagery that she's painting is supposed to be like quite fun. You know, we're going out to parties, we're having a great time, but like the words that she's using are really giving it such a kind of dark undertone. Obviously it starts with never really been alive before, I always lived in my head, and sometimes it was easier hungover and half dead. You know, she's looking back at her past and how for her it was easier to cope with life if she was just partying and drunk all the time. And she reflected a lot on that on High as Hope. Yeah, I'm back in town, why don't we go out, let the rats spin around our feet. The full moon shines down these dirty streets. It's like beauty and ugliness, because I came for the pleasure, but yes, I stayed for the pain. If you get spat on, it's just your big city baptism. You're the star of the show. Amazing. Isn't that just incredible? Like amazing lyricism, because it has this kind of duality of the kind of grandiose, I'm in the city, we're going out, we're having party, you know, the moon is shining down on us, it's all romantic, but every single one is like undercut by dirtiness, by rats, by, you know, the dirty streets being spat on. Really like gritty imagery mixed in with this really beautiful imagery. It's like split right down the middle, and it's really cynical. I'm not sure how it necessarily fits into the context of everything we've heard so far, but maybe it is just a, you know, like a self going inward kind of thing, which I guess is what a lot of what we've heard. Yeah, anyway, let's go on to the next one. This is Girls Against God. The beginnings of each of these songs are really quiet. Did I accidentally turn it down? Let's just double check. No, it is just a really slow intro.
Real love, I don't like it very much.
Wow, the pressure of being loved. Wow, God.
And it's good to be alive, crying into cereal at midnight.
Crying into cereal at midnight.
Never let me out, gonna really let it out.
Yeah, sounds like a lockdown fever.
Feel kind of sick.
Wow, that's the chords.
You'll be sorry that you messed with it.
Wow.
Oh, tell me it's not over yet. Waiting for the
It's like fear about life potentially not going back to normal.
It's good to be alive, crying into cereal at midnight.
I love that lyric, oh my God.
Gonna really let it out.
It's about that appreciation for freedom, isn't it?
To wage holy war, very much like staring at my bedroom floor.
Again, she's got like real like oxymorons going on.
And I know I may not look like much. You'll be sorry that you messed with God.
You'll be sorry that you messed with us. Like trying to find power when you feel completely insignificant. It's good to feel alive crying into cereal because at least you're alive. Yeah, fuck. It really feels like this is taking me back. Jesus. What's that? This is like a plane.
The devil, you know, he gave me a choice.
Oh my God.
A golden boy.
Oh my God, that really started to sound like a descent into madness. It really felt like that whole song was quite optimistic, like apart from, you know, crying into my cereal at midnight. But then it is optimistic though, isn't it? Because she's like, it feels great to be crying into my like cereal at midnight because at least that means that I'm alive, you know? I feel like that was, God, that just really struck a thing in me, like how the pandemic really woke us all up, I think, and made us start to appreciate things again. You know, we had our freedoms taken away from us and the whole world was scared of dying, and lots of people did die. You know, like And just to appreciate being alive again is quite a powerful thing to go through. And that's kind of what she was representing. It kind of felt like she was like, I'm standing in the face of God. If God is the person that put this pandemic on this planet and is like, you know, killing millions of people, then I'm gonna defiantly cry into my cereal at midnight because like, I'm going to push through this. I'm more important. I'm not insignificant, you know, although at times I feel like I am. But at the end, it almost sounds like it's almost like she trades her soul to the devil at the end, doesn't she? It descends, doesn't it? And it's like, oh, it's real about change. So maybe like this is signifying a bit of madness creeping in. She started off fairly optimistic, but she's going downhill maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Fascinating. There's so much kind of really dark, heavy, psychological shit buried in a kind of cynical, laugh at yourself, kind of British sense of humour, kind of laughing through the pain kind of way. Because, you know, what a thing to admit that when someone looks at me with real love, I don't like it very much. It's like, Jesus. It's like really, really heavy shit, but she kind of approaches it with such kind of frivolity that it's like, I mean, it's a very British thing to do that, I think. The kind of sense of humour that she has in this song is really fascinating because, and it's good to be alive, crying into my cereal at midnight is like so, it is such a funny image, but it's so dark at the same time. And that's really such a striking thing. It represents somebody who's like, almost, it feels like that they're at the edge of their sanity in a way, doesn't it? And then the outro, I met the devil, you know, he gave me a choice, a golden heart or a golden voice. So I'm not sure what that temptation is supposed to represent. Like, maybe it's like going inward or going outward. I don't know. There's something kind of foreboding about that. Let's go on to the next one. This is Dream Girl Evil.
Well, did you miss me? Walk on water just to kiss me.
Wow. Fuck. Amazing.
Am I a dream girl?
Ugh. Yeah. Oof. Is it about fantasy? Other people's fantasies of her? Oof. That kick drum is so powerful. Oh, yeah.
Did mommy make you sad?
Oh my god. It feels like she's singing to like incels. Ugh. It's like people's like, maybe people online have fantasies of her and how she doesn't match up to that. She's kind of saying, fuck you. Do whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't affect me. This song has kind of rocky edge to it, doesn't it? Oof. Oof. That kick drum is so nicely produced. Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. Wow. Yes. Oh, that was so cool. That was really kind of had such a kind of rocky edge to it. Considering the first few songs were all kind of like a bit more like flouncy, like kind of vibes, apart from King maybe. That one definitely, after the end of Girls Against God, almost like switched from like angel to devil, you know, in terms of its like attitude. The first few songs were definitely more looking inward, definitely more like kind of floundering, whereas this one she kind of like is targeting somebody else. And to me it seems like she's targeting like maybe trolls on the internet, maybe like that incel culture, maybe just specific haters who have come up against her, kind of saying, you know, your fantasy, I don't match up to your fantasies of you because it's just that, it's a fantasy, and you've turned me into this kind of dream evil person, whereas actually I'm just a real human being actually behind it all. Let's have a little look at the lyric. Did you miss me? Walk on water just to kiss me. I love that. Oh, come and get me, drag me out, destroy me. I've been expecting you. I'm ready. Deliver me that bad news, baby. It's amazing. It's like, come at me. Am I your dream girl? You think of me in bed, but you can never hold me and like me better in your head. Make me evil, then I'm an angel instead. At least you'll sanctify me when I'm dead. Like maybe like a public perception of her, people holding her like to impossible standards, but also thinking she's the devil. Like there's kind of both sides to it there. But she says at least when I'm dead, you'll celebrate me, you know, like they do with all artists. You know, did I disappoint you? Did mummy make you sad? Do I just remind you of every girl that made you mad? Make me perfect, make me your fantasy. I know I deserve it. Well, take it out on me. And she's become this almost like perception of people on the internet's kind of like internalized sexism, and she's kind of saying do whatever the fuck you want with the image of me, it doesn't actually affect me, it's not real. Like in the outro, it cannot hold, you know, it's not real. Watch me shimmer, a projection of your mother, but don't come crying, I'm nobody's moral center. It's really kind of getting a bit Freudian with that, isn't it? Like it's really kind of like it's almost like she's writing it to liberate herself from them, you know? She's taking back the power in a way. Really cool. Okay, let's go on to the next one. This is Prayer Factory. Oh, this is only a minute interval song. It's definitely got a lot darker.
Bring as close to me as I can. Shining trinkets of cream.
Oof. This is really fascinating to listen to. I love all the build-up of instrumentation. It's like the build-up of different sounds, so it all kind of becomes a bit unintelligible. I'm not sure what that one was supposed to represent. Let's have a look at the lyrics, because I think that's going to reveal something. All the things I ran from, I now bring as close to me as I can. Why don't you give me a call? Open my mouth, yes, I'll take it all. All this work gone to waste. You make me climb, then you shut the gate. I'm not sure what she's referring to. It's like, maybe it's industry, like Prayer Factory, like, you know, it's like a factory. It's like preying on people's like art and their dreams and everything. We build them all out just to shut them out. But then she's had success, so maybe it's like saying that even if like you've find success, it still doesn't mean that, you know, you're going to continue to have long-lasting success. And actually maybe like she's contemplating her own security, thinking it all could just come tumbling down. Let me know what your interpretation is. Let's go on to the next one. This is, what is it? Cassandra. Oh, Cassandra, you've always been my North Star. Ooh, kind of cinematic opening.
Pace around the kitchen for scraps of inspiration. And left me doing laundry to thinking what I'd done.
Wow. It's like being taken from the height of fame back down to zero.
I used to move into the future.
Ooh. That was quite an abrupt change in key, seems. Ooh.
Can you see me? I cannot hear.
Oof.
All the gods have been domesticated.
Oh, yeah.
Well, can you see me?
Can you see me? I cannot see you. There's no one left to sing to. This song didn't quite go where I thought it was going to go, actually. It's strange.
Take me back, cats of slaughter.
Oh my god. I can't quite tell what she's saying.
Can you see me?
Wow. It doesn't quite go full pace very often, this album, does it? When it does, it's like really satisfying.
And if I run fast enough,
Yeah. Oof. Oh, wow. That really didn't quite go where I thought it was going to go. Like, the beginning was a little bit more like, kind of sounded like maybe she was kind of going to go somewhere a little bit more optimistic again. And then it turned and it became quite intense. I got quite lost in that one. There was a large section where I was just like, So apologies. Let's have a little look at the lyrics. There's so much like brilliant lyricism in this album. I think that's like really the standout thing for me at the moment so far is the lyrics, because like looking at this first verse, I used to see the future, now I see nothing. They cut out my eyes and sent me home packing to pace around the kitchen for scraps of inspiration. I'm not sure who Cassandra is supposed to be. I used to tell the future, but they cut out my tongue and left me doing laundry to think on what I've done. It wasn't me, it was the song. It's just the heights of like the comparisons in all the lyrics throughout so much of the lyricism of this album is that it's like sublime to the ridiculous, and I think that she's really pointing out the almost hilarious dramatics that all of our lives kind of went through. Like, she went from like singing on a massive stage and touring the world to pacing around the kitchen, trying to find inspiration, trying to write songs, doing the laundry. Like, the most like mundane stuff was like that now the highlight of her day. And like the way in which her lyricism represents that, like the huge dynamic shift, I think is just incredibly poetic, particularly in that opening verse for this song. It seems like she's almost like reconsidering who she is because of this, you know, like her kind of boldness. You know, I used to move into the future, bring it all back, let it bleed through my fingers and a treasure in my hands. Now I creep out when there's no one about. It's like, you know, anxiety, where she used to be bold, now she's anxious. Every song I thought I knew, I've been deafened to, and there's no one left to sing to. It's just really like everything has been switched. Everything I thought I knew is a lie. Everything that like defined my life is now gone, and now I act in a completely different way. I feel in a completely different way. I'm much more internal. I'm much more anxious. It's really just amazing. Okay, let's go on to the next one. This is Heaven Is Here. I have heard this one, but let's listen to it again. I'm feeling and going there. It's very lo-fi, this song, isn't it? Ugh. The power in the drums is so amazing. I wonder why she chose this one to do a music video for, because it's very short and different. It's almost like a short poem that got turned into a song. Ugh. I love how that drum, that like kick drum that comes in almost like changes the tempo slightly, doesn't it? Ugh.
And every song I wrote, they pull me up to heaven.
Amazing. Isn't that just so fucking powerful, that song? It feels like so raw, like at the kind of like depths of like frustration, desperation, maybe after frustration, where you're just like almost feel like completely wrought, you know, there's nothing left for you to give. And again, she's got this big, it's not really oxymoron, but it's like a kind of big comparison dichotomy in her lyrical content, where she says, you know, every song I wrote became an escape rope, you know, giving me hope that I tied around my neck like a noose to pull me up to heaven. It's like the two things. It's like, you know, yes, it's giving me freedom, but it's also kind of maybe showing me that I'm not free. I don't know, like it's almost like I'm hanging myself with my own hopes, you know. Amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing and so powerful. And I love the way that the production builds up then. It's almost like things that, like sheets are being ripped, and like the vocal kind of guttural things are very kind of animalistic. It's almost like she's been taken back to that place. And it's fascinating, really fascinating. And so powerful in the middle of the album to have something that is just so unique. It seems like a bit of poetry that was developed into something. And she was like, it doesn't need to be a full song. It doesn't need a big hooky chorus. This is what it is, you know. Let's go on to the next song. I've not been counting all the songs. And this is song number 10. This is Daffodil. Helpless optimism of spring. The birds still came to sing. The spring still came back around. Wow. Wow. I have a song called Daffodils that is quite so, it's not delicate, is it? You know, it's very, it's like an opposite.
Saw the future in the face of a daffodil.
Saw the future in the face of a daffodil. It's like when it feels like the world is broken and that things won't come on, still the spring comes back around and it represents new life, you know?
Hung in the sky, there is no bed. Ain't all the blood that I could. Made myself a mythical daffodil.
The production on this album is quite interesting as well. Like, it kind of seems to be like floating between like her kind of like floral kind of vibes and like something a bit grittier and heavier and rockier.
Hanging on by the skin of our teeth. I drank
drank every sky that I could.
Daffodil.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh. Oh my God. It's amazing. Like, to have a song called Daffodil that is so aggressive is pretty ballsy and really poetic, I think, because like for something as simple as spring coming around, for it to feel like it has so much weight and so much drama and so much heaviness, that's the unique position in which she found herself. For me, it's like, it seems to represent, you know, like when all the world is kind of crumbling around you and you feel like the world's not going to go on, suddenly she managed to find hope, because in the small things, in the real life things, in, you know, Daffodils come out in March, which is when we all went into lockdown in the UK, and it's almost like the world is continuing on, you know. It kind of makes you feel insignificant and powerful at the same time. You know, the world is carrying on, like the seasons are carrying on, the birds are still chirping, the flowers are still coming out. They don't give a shit about the pandemic. They don't seem to have noticed at all. And that kind of makes you feel like we have no significance. But the other side of it is that it's kind of hope. And I think that's why the energy in this song is so heavy. It's because she got taken to such a low point, and this simple thing is giving us such a huge amount of hope. It kind of feels incredibly dramatic to be taken from one place to the other with just the sight of a daffodil is amazing. Just in poetry, like, Jesus, amazing. Oh my God, it's really just wonderful. She's incredible. It's incredibly existential, this album. I think that's kind of what I'm discovering through these songs, is it's like a existential rediscovery of herself, of her art, of her place in the world, of the world's place, of humans' place. Okay, let's go on to the next one. This is My Love. I have heard it a million times. I love it. And yeah, let's have a little dance party. I love this opening. I listen to this version rather than the radio edit. Songs always made sense to me. Every page is empty, so it's bright against the worrying sky. It's really taking it back down to simple notions of writing, isn't it? You know. So tell me where to put my love. Time to do what it does. No cracking open of heaven. It's like actually almost like a reference to Daffodil, isn't it? You know, the inspiration came not from something huge and dramatic, but from looking at a flower. Incredible. Just the artistry on display in this album is just absolutely incredible. I'm gonna throw my headphones off. My time to do what it does. I don't know where to put my love. And the sky's empty, the sky's empty, the building's empty. No planes. All the buildings are empty. So tell me where to put my love. God, I adore this song. Arms empty, the sky's empty, the building's empty. Oh, it's billboards, isn't it? Oh, buildings and billboards. Okay, fine. Amazing. I love it. I need to sort my hair up. I do love a bit of hairography, if I'm honest. So tell me where to put my love. Do I wait for time to do what it does? I still completely adore that song. It's so wonderful. I think it's incredible how it sums up so much of what the album is about by her kind of describing her artistry and her songwriting process and being kind of meta about it. She's, you know, describing the writing of the album inside like one of the lead singles, you know, which I think is really cool and meta. It's incredible like how she manages to like sum up what it is like to feel completely creatively hopeless and then to manage to find inspiration, but it not being in the huge dramatics of what's going on in the world, but actually in looking at the face of a daffodil, the quiet and still things that she found the inspiration. not where she expected. It's, oh God, it's so good. It's so fucking good. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, let's go on to the next one. This is actually just a small middle song as well. This is Restraint. It's 47 seconds. Let's do it. Oh. I thought that was going to be optimistic then.
And have I learned restraint? Quiet enough for you yet?
Oof, the venom in her voice. Oh. Wow, okay. Oh my God, that gave me chills. That was really freaky. I'm, slightly unnerved. if I'm honest. I'm not sure what that's, okay. My first thought was like, the message is kind of one of feminism, you know, being said that she should be practicing restraint. Have I learned restraint? Am I quiet enough for you yet? It's like, you know, looking maybe at like the kind of the patriarchy and kind of saying, have I conformed enough to your opinion of me yet? That's kind of my first thought. I'm not sure. That could mean a million things. It feels like a kind of continuation of that kind of outro of My Love, doesn't it? It's like continuing the kind of emotional storytelling there. But yeah, I'm not sure how it kind of relates to the lyrics of My Love, but yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, let's go on to the next one. This is the penultimate song. This is Bomb. No, it's not. It's The Bomb. The Bomb. Maybe that was a sigh, letting it out. Because this feels like optimism, doesn't it?
You said this could have been the best thing. I think they are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Appreciating the small things, huh?
Availability is the only thing that turns you on. Tell me that I'm wrong.
She's looking on to somebody else now.
I've blown apart my life for you, and bodies at the floor. Come here, baby. Tell me.
I love that. In that, it's kind of like the music represents the bomb. You know, boom.
I just love the bomb.
I don't love you. I just love the bomb.
Only thing that turns me on.
Wow.
Bodies at the floor for you and break.
Jesus. Someone's like saying that she loves the drama of completely changing herself for this person. God, wow. Maybe she broke up with somebody after everything.
Sometimes you get the song.
Is it her or is it just the song? Is it real? Interesting. Change of pace musically and thematically, though maybe it fits in because, like, to me it seems as if maybe the person that she was with, maybe after all this introspection, maybe after lockdown and stuff, maybe the pressure was too much and all these kind of realizations that she's kind of gone through, maybe after all of that she realized that she wasn't really in love with this person. She was just in love with the drama of her, like, changing herself for them, like the intensity of that. It made her feel alive to completely blow apart her whole life to be with this one person. And maybe she's admitting to herself that that's what she wanted rather than actually this other person. It's really fascinating how she's really tying together these like really disparate concepts of like a bomb, something incredibly violent and deathly, and she talks about falling bodies and shit like that in a song that's like a soft acoustic guitar thing. Compare it to Daffodils, which is like talking about the birds tweeting and the face of a daffodil in the sun or whatever, in a hugely dramatic thing. It's like really incredible how she's really doing that. And there's something so poetic in representing the drama in something small and representing the non-drama in something big. You know, really, really, really fascinating stuff. She's like just such an incredible artist. I feel like every single time she releases new music, she's just showing another part of her incredible well of artistry. It's really, really cool. Wow. Okay, before we go into the final song, if you've got this far in the video and you haven't yet subscribed, this is your moment to do so. obviously you've got this far, then it must mean that you quite like what I've got to offer. If you want to have more reactions from my perspective, or if you want to get involved in the community, or if you want to get involved with my music or any of that, then make sure to subscribe. You can also check out my Patreon as well. Some of you might be watching this earlier in the day, because I'm going to try and upload it to Patreon, like the uncut edit straight to Patreon as soon as I can. I'm going to start putting out uncut videos a week in advance. So yeah, if you want to watch my videos a week before everybody else and you just can't wait, then you can sign up for the Patreon. I'm going to be taking on recommendations through Patreon as well. So yeah, make sure to check that out as well. Cool. Woof. Oh, that might be my record. Pause. I don't know what it is about the time at which I record my videos, but it always seems as if the deliveries for my records come right in the middle. Impromptu unboxing, let's go. Hope that sounds satisfying. I'm going to sample that. I was a little bit pissed off because like the first pre-order was like, oh yeah, you got the coloured disc and everything. Oh. And then she like did a whole bunch of other really cool stuff and I was like, oh, I've already bought it now. Yeah. I love these moments where the record comes in the middle of filming. It's great. Might actually sample that. Oh wow, look at that. It's like full double situation going on there. It's brown if you can't tell. Let's put it up in the background. There we go. I am no mother, I am no bride, I am king. Hello. Let's go on to the final song. This is Morning Elvis. I'm not sure what this is going to be about. Let's go. The guitar's kind of Elvis-y. Oh, I love that sound. It's like almost like an auto-tuned lap steel or something.
When they dressed me and they put me on the plane to Memphis, I just sweated it out in a hotel room, but I think the king would have understood.
Oh right, okay. Coming down, sweating it out.
Forehead to the floor and prayed for a trapdoor.
Wow.
Never made it to Graceland. If I make it to the morning,
oof, beautiful.
And if I make it to the stage, I'll show you what it means to be sane.
Show you what it means to be sane. Wow.
Press my corpse against the wall. I told the band, get the next flight.
I think she's reflecting on her druggy nights. Yeah, comparing herself to Elvis, you know, and his battle with addiction. Wow. It's almost like this whole album has been like her finding sanity again, you know? Oh, I love this. Ugh. It's like a new appreciation for life, isn't it? And she's looking back at how she was before and how now she has recovered from her addictions, and you know, if she can make it back onto stage again, you know, then she's really gonna show you who she is, you know. Wow. I like the kind of like moving from Choreomania, like the insanity and finding sanity. Oh, it's the crowd. Dreaming of the crowd back again. It's like the returning of, you know, people to events is like almost like heralded at the end of that song, isn't it? Oh my God. What an experience. Fuck me. It was interesting because like it seemed to be reflecting on like, you know, her life before. I think this is a good time to talk about what I think about the whole album. I think this whole album is about her rediscovering her sanity in the context of lockdown, in the context of her losing everything she thought she knew, in the context of her having to try and be an artist again, where everything was torn down. She has been forced to look inward. She's been forced to really contemplate like who she is again, and she's had to find a way to make it through. And I think that like her comparison to this Choreomania, to this, you know, the dancing plague, she looks at dance and she looks at movement as a therapy. She looks at it as the process in which she managed to regain this sanity. It was like she was reduced to such a kind of animalistic place where she didn't know what else to do but dance. The dance fever is that place where she is taken right back to basics and rebuilds herself. The central kind of most poetic thing about it is that like everything is so big but everything is so small at the same time. You know, the human race is going through like an unprecedented crisis, and yet the birds are still just chirping. You know, it's insignificant. That for me is like a real center of like human existence and human existentialism. The highs and the lows, the angels and the devils, the yin and yang, it all kind of represents life. It all kind of represents existentialism, you know, looking at humans' place in the world. And I think that like that's something that we all went through. We went through this huge traumatic world event where people were dying from this invisible disease. We were all forced to stay at home. All of our lives completely changed. The world completely changed. And I think that everybody was forced to kind of like, A, like appreciate being alive, B, appreciate the small things, forced to contemplate their existence in a way that when you're so busy with the busy kind of schedule of life, you just keep going and you don't actually stop and think. And yet we were all forced to do so. And I think that like that is really what she is representing in this album, is that moment in which we were all forced to stop and ponder our own existence. What happens when everything is taken away? What do we become? Do we just become dancing maniacs? Because at the end of the day, we are just animals. By the end, it's not like a wholly optimistic ending, but it does feel like she has like had a journey, that she's learnt lessons along the way, and she's kind of regained a level of sanity. The silver lining that she is presenting is this kind of forced introspection, isn't it? I don't know whether I'm saying this particularly eloquently, but I hope you understand what I'm talking about. Maybe I edit it together a bit better. Really difficult to like articulate the poetry of it, you know. It's a really just absolutely such an incredibly deep piece of work. I feel like there's probably going to be a lot of people who listen to this and think, oh, it's not as good as Ceremonials, but I feel like it's a piece of work from an artist who is now, you know, on her 5th album. She is experienced, she's gone through stuff, she's had to like, you know, regain a way of learning how to make music multiple times, and now she is such an expert at lyricism, and this is just her showing off. It's more than just hookiness, it's more than just pop. It's intentional, it's thoughtful, it's deep, it's real art. I just think it's fucking incredible. Yeah, I've talked a lot. Thank you so much for tuning into this reaction. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it. Let me know what your interpretation of the songs are. Let me know what your interpretation of the whole album is. Like, feel free to share your own personal experiences with lockdown and stuff, because I think it's quite cathartic for us to kind of share in this kind of joint experience that we all had. Obviously, all this stuff is completely up for interpretation. So yeah, let me know what you think it's all about. Before we go, massive thank you to my Weeping Wendy patrons. Those are the guys who pledged to my second tier of my Patreon. Their name's coming up on the screen now. Those guys get to watch all my videos uncut, and they get to watch my videos early, and soon they'll be watching my videos a week in advance once I get that sorted. If you just want to join the Crying Club, they're also going to have early access soon as well, and you can watch my videos without any adverts or anything. So yeah, make sure to support me on Patreon if you want to. Thank you so much for tuning into this reaction. It really is just, oh god, she's amazing. I love her so much. I'll see you next week for Harry Styles. Cool, bye.